Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So most of this is going to be Magic focused again because of course we're really entering the kind of release window at this point. Tomorrow everything will be basically revealed, the week afterwards will be pre-release, and the week after that will be full release. So everything's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. So it makes sense why it's so much of the news. And also right now, currently, there's not a ton happening like elsewhere really in the franchise. The only non-Magic news really is just this. And even this doesn't really apply to most people, as you'll see. Avatar Legends, the fighting game, applications for the closed alpha playtest are going to be, they're available right now. If you go into this tweet, if you click this link, you can apply for the closed alpha playtest, which will be December 5th to the 7th. The first one here is only for North and South America. There will be a second closed alpha playtest that will be global at some point in the near future. So they're not going to wait too long. It is disappointing, but you understand with like an alpha why they would start with just a few regions first before going all out. Makes sense. So that's there. I'm interested to see how this goes, what people think of it. For me, I think most of my interest in this game is going to be from a single player perspective, what the story is like, and then what characters they actually have in here, and will it be more than just ATLA and Korra characters? Is the kind of KYOSHI stuff that was kind of rumored is actually going to be here? And yeah, will the story resemble anything like the craziness that was the leaked story? But we'll see what happens. So that's that. Other than that, like the Awakening of Roku preview pages came out. I did a live stream on Sunday going over it. That's available video on demand if you want to follow along as I read through it for the first time. That's how kind of on top of that news I was. But then I also, earlier on in the week, did a kind of overview video for people who maybe didn't want to check out the live stream, just want kind of a general opinion video on the preview. That's up as well. And then otherwise, yeah, we're under 2 weeks away from Bending Academy Light It Up, the kind of middle grade novel. I am excited for that as well. Zito era, we've already done some of the preview pages for that already, but I'm eagerly awaiting some new content, of course, because, yeah, 2 more novels still to come out this year. Exciting stuff. But yeah, we'll move into the Magic stuff with the first bit of news here. So Beadle and Grimm finally detailed their kind of collaboration deluxe bundle with Ultimate Guard. So we finally also get a proper look at some of the Ultimate Guard accessories, though these ones are exclusive, but it shows you the lines, I guess, and what they're kind of trying to do here. So yeah, these are going to go on sale. This bundle is going to go on sale November 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific, so that is tomorrow. Keep in mind there is only 1,000 of these produced, so it is very, very exclusive. The exclusive stuff in it is the playmat, the deck box, and the card sleeves. The token set from Beadle and Grimm is not an exclusive item. That is just going to be sold in most places that will sell that sort of thing. It's the other stuff that is specifically exclusive. But remember, Ultimate Guard do have tons of products. It's if I click off this actually, they have 49 products, as you can see here. 14 deck boxes, 10 kind of folio binders basically, 5 different sets of art sleeves, and 20 different playmats will be available. So this is just one playmat, one deck box, and one set of card sleeves that's exclusive to this bundle. There will be other options, so that is important to note. The pricing that they said on Reddit for this was $125 plus shipping, which I actually don't think is awful. I think that's actually pretty okay. The retail price of the token set is $44.99. And then that means actually that they are not particularly overpricing these exclusive Ultimate Guard accessories. They're maybe the slightest bit above what they are, but when you factor in that it's like this like 3-way collaboration, it's like Beadle and Grimm with Ultimate Guard, with Magic, with Avatar, like it's an IP based set product stuff. It's not actually crazy over the top for kind of like high quality accessories, but it all depends on if you like the visual elements that are actually going on in this, of course. They have a limited edition. The box is numbered. I don't think the box itself looks particularly like crazy. The stuff itself, let's get into it now. The card sleeves, while I'm sure they're decent quality because they are Ultimate Guard card sleeves, I don't think the editing, effectively, the makeup of this, the design of this is super great. It's the neon battle pose art of Katara the Fearless, that card. But for some reason, like the main background color doesn't go out to the edge of the sleeve, and it has a white border. That just seems like a really weird, baffling decision. Like, why isn't it on a black sleeve or a waterbending blue sleeve? Why is it white of all things? I just don't think it fits the art that they've chosen to be there. So I really feel like I actually don't want them. I don't think they look like good sleeves, just in terms of how they look. The deck box is a 133, so it's a slightly kind of like bigger deck box here. Most of these, the ones that they have, are going to be 100 plus. This is 133 plus. It uses the Aang Neon Ink Battle Pose card. Just on the top is the main printing, and there's not really much printing elsewhere. It does say Beadle and Grimm on the side. I think this is fine, but again, not something I feel like, there's only 1,000 of these, I need this. It's nice, but not so nice that I like feel I have to get the overall set just to get this. The playmat is, I'm not actually sure where this art is from in the set. I don't think we've seen this, so it feels like it is more of an exclusive piece of art, and maybe the one actual kind of playmat that feels like properly exclusive is like, oh yeah, that actually is kind of cool. That looks nice. It's book 3 Aang right at the end. It's cool. It's very different. So that is nice. And then the token set, I think, does look decent, but I think is a little bit overpriced for what it is. You can see here, you get a sort of another way of tracking your life with the kind of Aang kind of token counter. You get 5 dice of different kind of amounts, representing the 5 colors of magic and also the elements. You get some +1/+1 counters that are white lotus tiles, which you can see there. They are actually very cool. I think they're kind of rubberized. And then there's a spoiler box over the metal token cards. So again, there are token cards in the Magic set because some of the cards create tokens. We haven't actually had many of them revealed, which is why they have a spoiler over these. So you can see one of them says Spirit and one of them says Treasure. We know there's like a Clue token, there's an Ally token, and a bunch of other stuff as well. I guess they're waiting until tomorrow, the very last day of spoilers, to reveal all that stuff, but that's the way it is. I guess I'm guessing that's also the reason why Ultimate Guard have not been able to show off everything so far, because until tomorrow we are in spoiler season for cards, and they don't want to spoil cards just because the art of them is on their product. So finally we should get the full reveal on this tomorrow. So yeah, I think it's fine, but I don't think I'm gonna grab this. I'm going to just take a look and see, like, hey, how's it going? Like, is there a crazy queue system? Is there a demand for it? Does it sell out immediately? But I'm not really overly enthused by this. I think I'm more interested in kind of putting my money towards some of the other stuff that Ultimate Guard is going to offer. Because like I said, 20 different playmats covering, by the looks of things, a lot of different characters and cards, different art sleeves, different folios, different deck boxes. There'll be more along the lines of stuff that I want over here. The only ones, I'll quickly go over the stuff that we do know. When it comes to the sleeves, they're listed as Blue Mythic, Red Mythic, Green Mythic, and then 2 Legendary White Uncommons. The first white uncommon is the Jumpstart Appa. That's going to be on 1 pack of card sleeves. And then the Jumpstart Momo card is going to be on another one of the white sleeves. I'm not sure what cards they're necessarily going to do for the other ones. I'm not going to go through it individually, but you know, now that we have all the mythics, you can kind of maybe get a sense for what they are or are not going to do. My guess when they say this is that it probably is potentially a Jumpstart Mythic, but again, we have to wait and see. So that's the sleeves. The only other thing we really saw at one of the conventions was some of the playmats. We saw the normal art, so the default art of the 5-color Aang, the front side of that card, so non-avatar state side of that card. That art, that's actually this art here. This is on one of the playmats, which is cool. And honestly, I kind of prefer that art to the art that's on the playmat there. So there's that. The Cabbage Merchant Jumpstart card, he's going to be on a card sleeve. The Aang's Iceberg card that was quite early spoiled, that's going to be on a a playmat, as well as the Toph Metal Bender card is also going to be on a playmat. So that's 4 of the 20. I'm not sure what the other ones are going to be. We're getting to the point where you can probably figure out what it is. 2 different artifact mythics are going to be on cards. Now, we have 4 artifact mythics in the set. The White Lotus tile, the Walls of Bossing Say, Wan Shi Tong's Planetarium, and the Sozin's Comet like fleet, Ozai's fleet, as like the airship. I think the ones that they're going to do there are going to be the White Lotus tile main art and maybe the Walls of Bossing Say main art. I could maybe see them doing the Sozin's Comet one, but we'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, you can see here a lot of different like legendary, white rare, legendary rare. There's going to be a mix of, I think, main characters and some scenery shots would be my guess overall. And then we'll just take a very quick glance at the folios and stuff like that. So on the folios, you can see that there is some 160 Xenoskin zip folios and some 360 zip folios. The 5 160s are all just mana symbol, white, and then the other 4 colors. So they're probably going to be a relatively plain design. I'm not sure what's going to be super avatar about them, but I'm interested to see them. The bigger ones, so the 360s, the difference between them is basically these are 4 pocket binders and these are 9 pocket binders. So these will have blue main character, green main character, so a main character of each color. I'm guessing it is Aang, Katara, Zuko, Toph, and Azula. They're kind of like the main characters for each color. And that makes complete sense to me. So that's going to be cool to see what art they actually choose, because they are pretty nice folios overall. And then the deck boxes are done in a somewhat similar way, as you'll see here. Note, there's only one 133 Xenoskin, and it's for a green mythic in the set. Otherwise, the rest of them are all 100 Xenoskins. And again, the Beadle and Grimm one is a 133. So, that's interesting. Again, 5 of them are mana symbol white, black, green, and so on. And then there is a mix of, like, I think they mostly use alternate arts here. So, like, green mythic, legendary white rare. You can see here they use all different alternate arts for some of the other ones. So, that's kind of interesting. I'm guessing maybe we'll see some field notes stuff potentially on these, because typically with the printing on these is that I think the reason they more go for the graphical style cards rather than, like, the ones that have particularly fine art is just because the texture, the Xenoskin, might be a little bit challenging to print super fine line details on them. So we'll see what they do. It could be interesting overall. But yeah, that's just a quick look into Ultimate Guard. I really just at this point want to know what they all are so I can put in some pre-orders for the accessories that I want. It's just been a bit frustrating waiting for this to finally be revealed, like, ultimately. Last proper news before we talk about just some of the card spoilers is just the secret layer drop for Avatar has finally been fully detailed. So we initially saw that there would be multiple, and we saw the Cabbage Merchant drop revealed, so these 5 cards. Again, they are all 5 of them, there are 5 of them, cost the same. So the non-foil version will cost 30 and the foil version will cost 40. And we'll go through them in just a second. So yeah, it's November 17th, 9 a.m. Pacific. This is the time you have to be aware of, because if you're not there in the queue ready to go, you might struggle to get this. You might just not be able to get it. Especially if you're in America, it seems like you kind of do need to be there and you need to get lucky. Other regions, it's not as crazy, but still a somewhat similar situation. So just heed that warning. I'm not like over exaggerating. It is a known thing in Magic these days that these secret layers are kind of difficult to get. This card here is a promo card that you will get if you spend $199, I guess, while the Avatar stuff is on sale. I don't know what the exact terms and conditions are. Will it specify that you have to spend $199 on Avatar stuff, or is it just anything on the site during a specific time frame? I'm not sure. But the idea here is that this kind of forces you for the Avatar stuff to get all 5 drops in foil. Because all 5 drops in foil is, each one is 40, there's 5 of them, that's 200. that gets you over 199. That'll get you the Path of Ancestry card. And it is a nice promo. Aang and Appa arriving back at the Southern Air Temple. It's a cool card. It's what I want. It's just my initial plan was probably to buy all the drops in non-foil because I don't really care too much about Magic cards being in foil. And now feels like they've kind of forced my hand a little bit. If that was 149, where it was kind of forcing you just to get all the drops in non-foil, I'd be relatively okay with it, but I'm a little bit annoyed, but it is what it is. I think you go in knowing that the secret layers are inherently going to feel overpriced, that you are paying a little bit too much for cards that they know they can get the price for. You know, it's a bit frustrating. But anyway, My Cabbages is the first 5 cards. Then, you know, especially if you haven't seen Secret Layers too often, a lot of people will probably have the question of like, why does it go from 5 cards to 4 cards and one of them has 6 cards? What's going on here? The theming here is very clear and precise. Even though it's an Avatar kind of meme type thing that's maybe a little bit overdone, does he need like 7+ cards in the overall set? I'm not really sure, but hey, I kind of get the Cabbage Merchant there. Ultimately, as like a memorable character in Avatar, that's what he's become. He's more than what he actually is in the show, and they continue that into Korra, basically Cabbage Corp and so on. This one is just like a more theme where it's just like everything changed, and it's Torment of Hailfire, Blood Moon, Lightning Bolt, Dramatic Entrance. I'm not going through the cards in particular because these are all reprint cards. None of these are Avatar specific designs. They are just older cards finally getting reprinted, but they have Avatar art. And of course, the art is very nice. Across the entire set of Avatar Magic the Gathering, the art is super nice. It's just the card choice feels a little bit random here, where I think the black and red cards kind of make sense as like pretty big moments in the show. But then episode 5, Boomy reveals himself. It's a cool moment, but it's not on the same level as I think some of the other ones. Like, why couldn't this be maybe a book 2 moment? So you have a big moment from every book. But anyway, it is what it is. And again, why is there not a 5th card here? I don't really get it. Part of it, I guess, is just because Torment of Hailfire, I think, is a somewhat expensive card, and that's the value reprint here, but I'm not really sure. A lot to learn, same situation, only 4 cards. The theme is like learn who Aang has learned from. So in the past with the Air Nomads, from the past avatars, first learning about the past avatars in the Hall of Avatars, and learning from Hugh as well. And again, they're all reprints. You can see in this case, this is the card Sarah Ascendant, but in this case they call it Aang Ascendant Airbender. This is Cryptolith Right, but it's Avatar Sanctuary. And this is Kadama's Reach, but it's actually Hugh's Reach. It's fun. Some of the art is very nice, but I don't super understand why like there's such a variance in the cards. I kind of get it with this one, which is probably my favorite of them, because while these look like they're quote unquote full arts, they're kind of half arts, because the frame, even though it has some Avatar stuff going on, the art very clearly doesn't in any way affect the bottom half of the card. So because of that, they're giving you like an extra card and more making up for it with the fun frame treatment, which I do quite like. And then one thing I've noticed throughout the set is that the elemental frame, which is what this is, they do tend to do a kind of specific, I think, more Avatar art style thing. Like there's certain art styles that they don't seem to maybe want for these elemental frames, and I like ultimately what they've chosen for a lot of this stuff. So this is probably my most hyped one. Like if I was only to buy one, this is probably the one that I would actually get, because I really like the elemental frames. So yeah, we have Silence, Preordain, Painful Truths, Past in Flames, Force of Vigor, and Expressive Iteration. Again, there's a little bit of an element of randomness, because the decision making about this is ultimately, it seems mostly like, hey, here's some cards we want to reprint, and maybe a little bit of like just art that they had. I don't really know what the full decision making process is. It's a bit weird. The last one is the Ember Island Players. So we have a Phantasmal Image, which is called here Absolutely Accurate Actor, Braid of Fire, Cursed Mirror, Mask of Memory, and Thespian Stage. I think Absolutely Accurate Actor, Phantasmal Image, I think is the sort of slightly more expensive reprint card here. that they're going for. But yeah, I'm not super enthused. I'm probably still going to get it just because it's part of the kind of overall Avatar set experience. Is like, hey, the secret layers. But I thought I'd be a bit more excited about what the sets actually are for Avatar. But because two of them are the kind of memey Avatar stuff that's maybe a tad overdone, Cabbage Merchant, Emerald, and Players, it's the jokes everyone knows, of course. And then, at least for me, I would say, two groups of cards that feel a little bit just kind of random. And then at least this one, because of the kind of consistency of the art and like the frame choice and stuff like that, kind of feels like, okay, I kind of like this one. The others just feel like, I think, a bit odd to me. I was wondering maybe like, you know, why didn't we get any maybe original card designs here? There was maybe the slight possibility of a Korra thing, but clearly the whole thing of it's Magic Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's not Magic Avatar Legends. It's not Magic Legend of Korra. The idea would be that I guess they would have had to also get or buy the Korra license separately, and they're either not wanting to do that just for a secret layer, or they will maybe use that at some point later down the line. Now, if they do get around to Korra, it's not going to be next year because the full set lineup's already out and Korra's not on it. So 2027 at the earliest, and that's assuming they do a follow-up. My guess would be that if they do eventually get around to Korra, it probably won't be a full set like Avatar. I would actually be perfectly fine if they just did Korra as like a set of commander decks, and they just design around it that way. You still would have enough kind of card slots to get most of the main characters, do a bunch of reprints, and just get Korra art out there. And I think that's all most people really want overall. And it would make up for the fact that there was no commander decks in the Avatar set. That's probably the way I would do it overall. But we'll see what they do. So yeah, still going to get it. But I wish I was a bit more excited about this. And that's maybe never the best way to feel about the kind of fancy secret layer things where they're meant to be sort of like very cool experimental kind of almost cards in terms of the approaches. And it just feels a little plain to me overall, unfortunately. But anyway, and it will wrap up with just looking at some card reveals. So, of course, we always like talking about the past avatars, and we've talked about all the other versions of this card. So, of course, we've already had the Legend of Roku, we've had the Legend of Karuk, we've had the Legend of Yang Chen, and we had the Rise of Sozin. Those are the other 4 cards in this 5-card cycle. And then Brandon Sanderson actually got to reveal these KYOSHI cards, which was quite funny. Interestingly, he has not seen Avatar, which is a bit like of a crazy idea, but anyway. So yeah, Legend of KYOSHI here. Here's the 2 arts of the front side of the card. So you can see the standard art actually has Chin the Conqueror on it, more representing the story, whereas the borderless art is just meant to be a really cool, amazing looking version of KYOSHI, and it certainly is. So the front side of the card, this is what it does. It's 4 green for a saga. So it comes in and you do the first effect. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Very KYOSHI effect. She is the kind of powerhouse avatar. So if you have a big creature on board, you draw a lot of cards. But this is good. Even if you only have like a 3/3 on the board, you draw 3 cards. That's nice. Admittedly, it is 6 mana to cast, and you kind of want something big immediately. But still, you're getting a bunch of cards. You probably will play this when you have 4 or 5, and you're getting a bunch of cards. The second one, so the next turn, then you Earthbend X, where X is the number of cards in your hand, and that land that you have just Earthbend becomes an island in addition to its other types. So because of the first effect, you probably have a bunch of cards in hand. You then get to make something relatively big out of one of your lands with Earthbending, and then it becoming an island is more of a flavor add than I think a real power aspect of the effect, because obviously it means it can now tap for blue, which is interesting, but it's mostly there to just represent the idea that this is KYOSHI using earthbending to turn a peninsula into an island, and it's very fun flavor as an actual mechanic. The third effect, like all of them, just transforms it into the other side, which is Avatar KYOSHI in the Avatar state. Both arts look great. So this is a 5/4 creature Avatar. Lands you control have trample and hexproof, so it's leaning into earthbending there. So your lands can now deal kind of trample damage, where the excess damage goes through to your opponent's life, and then hexproof means they can't be targeted by your opponent's spells. They still have ways to kind of interact with them if they potentially can, but they are more limited now because of hexproof, which is quite good. And then also, you can tap KYOSHI to add X mana of any one color, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So again, because of the way the saga works, you probably have something that's at least 5, because of course KYOSHI's on the board, but then potentially something even bigger. So that's very, very cool just to know. And again, remember, the idea with earthbending is that you can stack earthbending. So if you have other earthbending effects, one way to make a creature actually quite big is to just make one earthbending land like very, very large, and that can make KYOSHI kind of very, very powerful. So very cool. They also did have the KYOSHI Battle Fan card here, which is just pretty nice, a nice equipment. It's just a common, it's nothing super crazy. It's just a kind of ally kind of focused thing, because it's more it's more the KYOSHI warriors using the Battle Fan than KYOSHI herself necessarily using it. So if it was meant to be maybe like KYOSHI's literal fans, it might be more of a rare, mythic rare that did something a bit more crazy, but still it's cool that we have this in the set. Also, the Walls of Ba Sing Se is very cool. I was waiting for this one here. Mythic rare, legendary artifact creature Wall. 8 mana for the Walls of Ba Sing Se. It is a 0/30 creature. 30. That is a big number to see on a Magic card anywhere, given especially the other numbers that we've seen. 30 toughness is kind of insane. I was thinking 12 to 15, maybe 20 at the most, but 30 is like hilarious. So it's a wall, so it has defender, which means it can't attack, but it also has other permanents you control have indestructible. So the walls themselves are not indestructible, but they make everything else indestructible. So your opponents have to deal with the Walls of Ba Sing Se before they can deal with everything else. There are ways around indestructible, but it certainly makes your opponent have to deal with it. I don't think the Avatar set has any way to particularly overly abuse the idea that there's 30 toughness here necessarily. There are other cards in Magic that can allow you to that can allow a thing with defender to actually attack, and then it can attack as if it had its toughness as its power. And that's cool, because then it's effectively like a 30/30 to a certain degree. That's kind of cool. But I don't think in the Avatar set specifically there's anything that super relates to the card's toughness. I think one of the themes in green, I think it's the green-red theme, is if a card has 4 or more power, but it's not toughness. So interesting. Fun card, but it's kind of cool. And yeah, the field note version is also very, very nice. The last mythic rare for the set is Ko the Face Stealer. So, we were waiting for this for quite a while. We knew that there was a shapeshifter spirit in the set, and the last opening was for a black mythic rare, and so it kind of had to be Ko. So it's 4 black for a legendary creature, shapeshifter spirit. It's a 6/6, so 6/6 for 6, okay. When Ko enters, exile up to 1 other target creature. So that's already kind of quite good in that, it's just 6/6 for 6, comes down, exile something on your opponent's field. Whenever another non-creature token dies, you may exile it. Pay a life, choose a creature card exiled with Ko. Ko has all activated and triggered abilities of the last chosen card. So, pretty cool. He puts something into exile. Everything else that dies goes into exile, basically. And then you can pay a life to choose one of those ones exiled by one of Ko's effects. It has to be by Ko's effects. It's not just everything that gets exiled. Because, if an effect just exiles something, like via airbending, for instance, it is not exiled by Ko, but with Ko. But yeah, he then has all the activated and triggered abilities of the last chosen card. So you kind of get their effect text to a certain degree. That's cool. And again, because it's a kind of activated effect, it's a kind of instant speed. So you can kind of switch that up depending on how much life you want to pay. There's probably some crazy stuff you can do with this. That's maybe hard to picture in my head right now exactly what you want to do. Because it is you could target your own stuff. I suppose that's sort of interesting, but like, do you necessarily want to do that? So it's mostly kind of, I think, dependent on what's going on with your opponent, but it's a very flavorful card, and I think it's overall like pretty good. Interestingly, from all the mythics, it seems like Badger Mole Cub and the main set Wan Shi Tong, not the Jumpstart one, are the two that I think Magic fans are kind of hyping up the most, so they're probably likely to be the maybe two expensive mythic rares. Interestingly, maybe from the Avatar fan perspective, I think Avatar fans, maybe not as into the game, but more into the art and the specifics of the card. We're more into like, hey, yeah, Legend of KYOSHI, Yang Chen, Roku, those type of cards. I don't think any of these are super hyped through the roof, just because, you know, they're kind of slow, steady effects, and then when you do get to the Avatar sides, there's some good stuff going on there, but they're not like crazy over the top creatures on this side. So I don't think, like, if you just maybe want these kind of more kind of high-end cards in your collection, they're going to be like crazy expensive. I'm not sure exactly, maybe the alternate arts might end up going that way, but I think there's other stuff that is more expensive, like the Neon Battle Pose stuff, and we don't know how particularly rare the Brian Konietzko Ang is going to be, but just worth noting that like that seems to be the trend of how things go, that like the pricing for these cards on the secondary market ultimately is going to depend more on the effect text than like the presentation of like the character and stuff like that, really. And like, interestingly, I don't think like maybe any of the like main characters are like crazy pushed over the top, or at least have a card that is in like a very difficult to find position type thing. So like, for instance, like the normal art of like the double-sided Ang is probably not going to be a super expensive mythic rare, just because I think now that we have basically most of the set, I'm not sure how easy Ang is to flip over on a like regular basis in the way that you'd want it to. It can certainly happen, and there's enough of the bending across everything in the whole set that you can make it happen, but it feels a little bit more difficult to do than you'd actually expect. And there's no cheat way just within the Avatar set to make it happen. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, there is the news. So let me know what your thoughts are on all this stuff. The fighting game closed alpha, the Beadle and Grimm stuff, the Ultimate Guard accessories. When do you think they're finally going to be revealed? Does the secret layer excite you at all? And then what are your favorite cards that you've seen so far from the spoilers? We have most of everything, but there's still a few more things to be revealed. We're still waiting for like a Jumpstart article they said would be up on Tuesday. I'm guessing that will be up tomorrow if they remember it. But yeah, I'll have more Avatar Magic videos coming out, going over like the whole set, going through it sort of like color by color. But for now, that's been the news. Let me know below what you think, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.